Have you ever heard the term uncontacted people? It refers to indigenous groups who live without regular contact with surrounding communities or the outside world. They choose to live in self-imposed isolation, relying on hunting, foraging, and often gathering around campfires to discuss the matters of their lives. These tribes tell stories of ancient mammoths and long-lost historical events. However, their numbers are dwindling, and maintaining a traditional lifestyle in 2024 is becoming increasingly difficult, especially as these groups remain almost completely cut off from the outside world. It is currently estimated that there are between 100 and 200 uncontacted tribes with a population of around 10,000 individuals. Most of these uncontacted tribes live in South America, primarily in northern Brazil, but also in countries such as Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and northern Paraguay. Outside of South America, isolated groups are also found in Papua New Guinea and on North Sentinel Island in the Andaman Islands of India. Each of these tribes has its own unique story and way of life. The first tribe on our list, the Fleteros, now has only one man left. Let's take a deeper look into the world of these last uncontacted tribes on Earth. Number 14. Fleteros. Recently, a video of a man chopping down a tree in a remote part of the Amazon rainforest, Brazil, caught the attention of viewers worldwide. At first glance, the clip seems unremarkable. Just a man trying to fell a tree with an axe in the dark, gloomy forest. However, this man is the last known descendant of the Fleteros tribe, also known as the Arrow tribe. He has lived alone for the past 22 years in one of the most isolated areas, away from human civilization. Often referred to as the most isolated man on Earth, he resides somewhere deep in the Amazon and has successfully avoided all contact with the outside world for years. It is believed that he is the sole survivor of his tribe, a group that has never been in contact with outsiders. This means that no one else on the planet knows the language and customs of the Fleteros better than he does, making him an invaluable source of information that cannot be obtained elsewhere. The man, who appears to be in his 50s, continues to reject all attempts at communication with the outside world, even from those who wish to offer help. There have been efforts by organizations to reach out to him with goodwill, but all they have found are his self-made shelters deep in the desolate forest. What do you think of his life? Feel free to share your thoughts. Number 13. Pintupi 9. As the name suggests, the Pintupi 9 refers to a group of 9 individuals from the Pintupi tribe, a hunting and gathering community that knew nothing of the European invasion of Australia and continued to live their traditional lifestyle in the Gibson Desert until 1984. This group is sometimes referred to as the Lost Tribe because they lived in complete isolation, and their existence was unknown until an event changed their fate. The Gibson Desert is vast, covering around 60,000 square miles, and this group wandered between water holes around Lake Mackay, near the borders of Western Australia and the Northern Territory. They wore belts made of hair, carried 6-foot-long wooden spears, and used their skills in spear throwing and boomerang making to survive. The tribe primarily hunted lizards, thorny devils, and rabbits, and ate local shrubbery. The group consisted of a family with 2 women and 7 children. They had previously traveled with a man, but he had passed away in October 1984. The family decided to head south, hoping to find relatives. Upon arrival, they saw smoke and accidentally encountered 2 tourists. However, a misunderstanding involving a handgun made them panic, and they fled back north. The group later returned and communicated with the outside world through scouts who spoke their language, Pintupi. They were informed of the existence of modern settlements with food and running water, concepts that astounded them. A medical checkup showed that the entire family was in perfect health. 2 years later, one of the children in the group decided to return to the desert, while the rest of the group stayed behind and integrated into modern society. The children later became famous indigenous artists, recognized worldwide. This is how the Pintupi tribe became one of the last indigenous groups in Australia to abandon their traditional way of life. However, there are still some Pintupi people who remain in isolation longer than other tribes, as they live in a remote area of Australia. It wasn't until the 1960s, when the Blue Streak rocket tests were conducted, that rockets accidentally landed in their area. The authorities decided to relocate them from the dangerous region, believing it would be the easiest way to protect the community. Number 12. Kawahiva. The Kawahiva people, an indigenous tribe living in the Amazon rainforest of Brazil, are known as one of the most isolated groups on Earth. Referred to by neighboring tribes as the Little People or the Red-Headed People, these names likely stem from their physical traits and lifestyle. However, much of what is known about the Kawahiva is based on limited information, as they have never engaged in peaceful contact with the outside world and have consistently avoided interactions with outsiders. Recent reports suggest that the Kawahiva population may now be as small as 30 individuals, an alarmingly low number compared to other indigenous communities. Their nomadic lifestyle, which has persisted for centuries, is now severely threatened due to the rapid destruction of the Amazon rainforest. Deforestation, illegal logging, and land encroachment for agriculture, especially for soybeans and cattle ranching, have drastically reduced their living space, forcing them to constantly move in search of food and to escape human intrusion. The Kawahiva tribe survives by hunting, foraging, and notably, collecting honey. They possess a unique technique of using intricate ladders to climb trees and harvest honey, an activity that is symbolic of their deep knowledge of the Amazon ecosystem. Alongside honey gathering, they also hunt wildlife and gather fruits, nuts, and other wild foods from the surrounding forest. A few generations ago, the Kawahiva cleared small patches of forest for farming, planting crops like maize and manioc. However, over the past 30 years, the tribe has been relentlessly pushed into hiding, constantly fleeing from the threat of attacks. Illegal logging remains a significant danger, and there have been instances where outsiders have attempted to harm or enslave them. In 2001, the Brazilian government designated part of the Kawahiva territory as a protected area under local government safeguards in an effort to defend them from external threats. Because of their limited contact with the outside world, the Kawahiva have maintained a secluded society with customs and traditions that remain largely unknown. Anthropologists and indigenous rights organizations find it extremely difficult to study the tribe, as they avoid all direct contact and typically respond with hostility to any intruders. Number 11. The Yaifo tribe. In 2017, British explorer Benedict Allen embarked on a remarkable journey to find the Yaifo, an uncontacted tribe in Papua New Guinea. He traveled without any communication tools, and despite being declared missing, Allen was eventually rescued during a helicopter search. This was actually Allen's second encounter with the Yaifo tribe. His first in 1987 was much more successful, and unlike the second expedition, he didn't need a helicopter to leave the area. So, who exactly are the Yaifo people? In fact, the Yaifo are so isolated that very little is known about them. There are hardly any photographs or videos of the tribe, and information is scarce. Benedict Allen first reported on the Yaifo tribe after his 1987 expedition. It's estimated that in addition to the Yaifo, there are over 40 other uncontacted tribes in the region. Some of these tribes are believed to engage in practices such as cannibalism and collecting human heads. Today, the Yaifo primarily live as hunter-gatherers, maintaining limited contact with the outside world. However, the Yaifo do not always avoid contact with outsiders. Allen visited them twice, and on his second trip, he contracted several tropical diseases. His expeditions have provided us with invaluable insights into the lives of the Yaifo. One thing is certain, there are no trails leading to their homeland, no proper maps of the area, and the skies around the region are often cloudy, making aerial photography nearly impossible. While many other tribes in the area have integrated with society, the Yaifo continue to uphold their tradition of isolation. They have no plans to break their seclusion and feel a sense of relief now that neighboring tribes have moved away. This isolation allows them to avoid the dangers of the outside world. What do you think of the Yaifo's way of life? Feel free to share your thoughts. Number 10. Mashco Piro. Deep in the Peruvian Amazon lives a group of uncontacted tribes known as the Mashco Piro, also referred to as the Null. This tribe is among the last isolated communities that have remained largely untouched by the outside world for decades. However, in recent years, some members of the Mashco Piro tribe, with a population ranging from 600 to 800 people, have started making contact with outsiders. They have been signaling to river travelers and occasionally appearing at government checkpoints to ask for food or assistance. This shift in behavior is likely a result of the increasing threat posed by illegal logging on their land and the occasional clashes with criminal groups. If you ever happen to encounter them, remember that the name Mashko Piro is considered taboo by the tribe. In their local dialect, Mashko is an offensive term that means savage. The name they prefer to use is Null, which means the relatives, the term they use to refer to themselves. Despite this, the media continues to use the name Mashko as it has become the widely recognized term. The Null tribe is currently facing grave challenges due to illegal loggers encroaching on their territory. As a nomadic people, they are constantly on the move, which makes finding food and creating clothing even more difficult. Their only hope lies in the assistance of local residents living near logging areas. However, given the escalating situation, it seems likely that this tribe will soon have no choice but to assimilate with the outside world. Number 9. Another tribe living in the Amazon, the AWA, has a population of around 350 people, with approximately 100 still living in isolation from the outside world. Like the Mashko Piro, the AWA face ongoing threats from logging activities that encroach upon their land. This conflict with outsiders is not a recent issue for the AWA, it dates back to the 1800s, long before logging became a threat. To avoid outside contact, the AWA have adopted a nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyle. They are well versed in navigating the dense forest, memorizing paths and valleys with a mental map of their environment. They know exactly where to find honey when the trees bear fruit and when animals are ready to be hunted. The AWA are deeply connected to the environment, practicing sustainable hunting and gathering. They only hunt at certain times of the year to preserve the forest balance. They also understand the importance of certain animals, such as bats, which play a crucial role in the ecosystem. Bats are even believed to have medicinal properties such as curing headaches. The AWA are known to care for animals, especially monkeys, which they treat as part of their family. While neighboring tribes have begun to trade with the outside world, the AWA have remained steadfast in their desire to remain undisturbed. This reluctance to engage with outsiders has led to them being referred to as the most endangered tribe on Earth. Despite the ongoing threats to their way of life, the AWA continue to resist external contact, seeking to preserve their traditional existence. Number 8. When it comes to uncontacted tribes, few are as famous as the Sentinelese, perhaps the most isolated people on Earth. The Sentinelese inhabit North Sentinel Island, located near South Andaman Island in the Bay of Bengal. Although the island legally belongs to India, the Sentinelese are likely unaware of this fact. In reality, we know very little about the Sentinelese, as any attempts to contact them have been met with rejection, often ending in tragic circumstances. The Sentinelese are hunter-gatherers who use spears, bows and arrows to hunt land animals and employ simple methods to fish. They have a profound understanding of fire and the value of metal, but do not engage in agriculture. All men in the tribe participate in building temporary shelters, while the women occasionally perform dances. The Sentinelese navigate the island by boat, and their language is distinct from those spoken in the Andaman Islands, suggesting they have been isolated for thousands of years. However, we don't know what they call themselves, as no one has been able to get close enough to find out. The Indian government has declared North Sentinel Island a no-go zone, prohibiting anyone from approaching the island, let alone landing on it. This legal protection ensures the tribe's continued isolation and shields them from the dangers of outside contact. Experts consider the Sentinelese to be one of the most isolated groups on the planet, and the likelihood of them remaining undisturbed is high due to the strict laws in place. This brings us to one of the key reasons why uncontacted tribes must be protected: the preservation of their environment and autonomy. International organizations continue to emphasize the importance of safeguarding indigenous lands, protecting them from exploitation and abuse. They also recognize the risks of exposing these tribes to modern diseases, as isolated communities lack the immunity to such illnesses. A common cold could potentially wipe out an entire tribe. Many uncontacted tribes have developed a deep fear of outsiders due to centuries of violence and enslavement. Their stories of isolation are often marked by a deep desire to connect with the outside world, but also a profound fear of the consequences of doing so. The trauma of past encounters, often with disastrous results, has been passed down through generations, reinforcing their desire to stay secluded. Experts agree that no tribe chooses isolation lightly, and that the scars from previous encounters often lead to a protective instinct against outside contact. Number 7. The Kai tribe, also known as the people of the forest, lives on the island of Hama, and is one of the last remaining nomadic hunter-gatherer tribes in Indonesia. Their population is estimated to range from 300 to 500 individuals, and until recently, they had no contact with the outside world. In the 1980s, about 3,000 members of the Kai tribe made some contact with outsiders, though it was not something they welcomed. The Kai are known for living in tree houses, some 40 meters above the ground with minimal exposure to the outside world. The Kai have developed the belief that white people are possessed by evil spirits. When encountering outsiders, they often shoot arrows at them until both sides manage to resolve the situation peacefully. Their land is situated on an island rich in nickel, a vital material used for manufacturing batteries for electric vehicles. This has put the Kai in a difficult position, as the economic value of their land's resources has begun attracting the attention of industries and external forces. Recently, a shocking incident was reported on the island when some members of the tribe were seen begging for food from miners. This desperate act occurred amid the environmental devastation caused by the nickel mining operations, which continues to shrink their territory, and food becomes scarcer. The Kai face hunger and the threat of death, not only from the lack of food but also from diseases they might contract from the miners. Will the tribe do anything to change their fate? Share your thoughts below. Number 6. Pa. Deep within the tropical rainforests of the Amazon in Brazil lives the Piraha tribe with a population of about 800 individuals. They are the last remaining group of the Mura people, who are known as the guardians of the Mai River region in Huma and Manor, located in the Amazonas state. The Piraha tribe's way of life is unique, and they are notable for the absence of crime, theft, or violence in their society. Living in isolation from the outside world, the Piraha survive through hunting and gathering. They have an impressive knowledge of thousands of plant and animal species, knowing their names and characteristics. The tribe resides in simple huts with minimal cooking tools and does not store food. Interestingly, the Piraha have no concept of numbers beyond 2. Their numerical system consists of just 1, 2, and many. The Piraha tribe also has a very distinct approach to time. They do not use calendars or track dates, and they have no concept of past or future, only today or never. An extraordinary aspect of their daily routine is their sleep pattern. They sleep very little, about 20 minutes a day, believing that excessive sleep would cause the gods to strip them of their power. What are your thoughts on this fascinating tribe? Share your opinions below. Number 5. Pass. The Pass tribe, who live deep in the Amazon rainforest of North America, has had minimal contact with outsiders, particularly those from Colombia. According to Amazon indigenous expert Roberto Franco, the Pass tribe first interacted with the outside world around half a millennium ago, during the Spanish treasure hunts for the fabled City of Gold. In order to escape Spanish and Portuguese enslavement, the Pass migrated to the Putumayo region. In 1900, during the rubber boom, the Pass once again retreated further into the jungle. This discovery was made by the German ethnologist Theodor Rundberg, who traveled through the region between Caqueta and Putumayo, along the banks of the Pure River, a tributary of the Putumayo. He found abandoned huts belonging to the Pass tribe. After not hearing any trace of the tribe for a long time, many speculated that they had gone extinct. However, following the disappearance of a fur trader and his guide in the area in 1969, experts realized the tribe was still very much alive. To protect the Pass people, the Colombian government established the Rio Pure National Park, which monitors the region where the tribe lives. Experts continue to try to pinpoint their exact location to devise strategies to safeguard them from gold hunters, drug traffickers, illegal loggers, and other external threats. However, no one dares to approach or interact with the Pass tribe directly, respecting their desire for isolation. Number 4. Terrain. The Terrain are a secluded indigenous tribe in Ecuador, isolated from the outside world. They live a nomadic lifestyle within the Yasuni National Ecological Reserve, deep in the heart of the Amazon rainforest. The population of the terrain is estimated to be between 150 and 300 people, though their exact numbers remain unclear. While cardiovascular diseases are the leading cause of death in Western countries, the indigenous people living in remote parts of South America, such as the terrain, rarely suffer from such conditions. Scientists have discovered that the risk of heart disease increases with age, but this phenomenon does not apply to the terrain. Their cardiovascular health is strikingly different from that of people living in industrialized areas. Doctors may treat us with advanced methods, but the terrain continue to live healthily without the need for modern medicine. The terrain have maintained their way of life through considerable hardship. In the past, they successfully repelled Christian missionaries with spears and darts. Today they face grave dangers from illegal logging and oil drilling operations encroaching on their land. Their secret lies in their active lifestyle, hunting, fishing, gathering wild fruits, and following a diet that is primarily composed of carbohydrates with little protein or fat. They do not smoke or drink alcohol, and the men of the tribe spend around 6 to 7 hours a day engaged in physical activity, while the women spend 4 to 6 hours. With such a lifestyle, it is extremely unlikely for them to develop heart disease or atherosclerosis. However, recent reports show that the terrain are now facing the threat of obesity due to an increased consumption of processed oil in recent years. Over the past 2 decades, the rate of overweight or obese individuals in the tribe has risen by 9%, despite the fact that they still have no access to the internet. The shift in dietary habits and exposure to processed foods could have a negative impact on their health. Number 3. Eoro. The Eoro tribe, a branch of indigenous South American people, is one of the last communities to remain untouched by the outside world, living outside the Amazon basin. They originate from Gran Chaco, a vast forest region spanning Paraguay, Argentina, and Bolivia, known not only for its rich biodiversity but also for severe deforestation issues. The Gran Chaco region is currently facing extensive destruction due to logging, cattle ranching, and construction activities, which are significantly shrinking the Eoro's natural habitat. The first recorded contact between the Eoro and the outside world occurred in 2004, when a group of Eoro people decided to engage with human rights activists and outside organizations. The reason behind their decision to make contact was likely their desperation, as they were fleeing bulldozers and agricultural machinery that had flattened their homes and encroached on their ancestral land. The tribe's leaders were faced with difficult choices as they sought help to protect their land from the ravages of extractive industries and development projects. Despite this encounter, many Eoro continue to live according to their traditional culture. They maintain their hunter-gatherer lifestyle and live in harmony with the forest. Traditionally, Eoro men would wear a bundle of cords and feathers around their waist to cover their genitals, while women went topless and wore skirts made from woven fibers. Both men and women wore sandals made from pigskin or wood. Due to the harshness of their lifestyle, the Eoro do not possess much in terms of inherited property, apart from some iron tools, which are typically passed on to widows if their husbands die. However, these possessions are still shared within the extended family. Number 2. MOA. The Yanomami Reserve is one of the largest and most important protected areas in South America, spanning over 9.6 million hectares along the border between Brazil and Venezuela. Within this reserve lives the MOA tribe, a small and lesser-known group, yet one that stands out in the context of isolated indigenous communities. The MOA are a tiny tribe, likely no more than 100 people, living in a remote area completely cut off from the rest of the world. They have chosen absolute isolation, refusing any contact with outsiders, maintaining a self-sufficient lifestyle, and relying on no government or external organization for support. The first recorded images of the MOA were taken in 2016, showing aerial photographs of their villages. These photos revealed that not only do they exist, but they may also be thriving. Like other Yanomami tribes, the MOA face a serious threat from illegal gold mining operations in the Amazon. These gold miners, known locally as garimpeiros, are one of the main contributors to environmental destruction in the region. The illegal gold mining not only harms the environment but directly endangers the indigenous communities living there. Conflicts have arisen between the miners and the tribes as miners invade their territories, leading to attacks and kidnappings of local people. We have now explored some of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth. What are your thoughts on these unique tribes? Do you know of any other special tribes that remain isolated? Would you like us to cover a different topic? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest videos.